I mean, I didn't really know about the whole Sky Blue situation. I didn't really know much in general about him, except for the fact that so I actually played at West Ham with Aaron Simon, and so that was previous to him getting hired. And she, like, long story short, basically she called me the first time it happened many years ago. So I knew before coming into Louisville that what he had already been doing to Aaron a little bit. I had an idea because me and Aaron are like best friends. So yeah, so I had an idea, unfortunately, of what I was getting into. Well, she told me the first time it happened to her, she had gone home. I guess it was 2019, and for an injury to rehab at home, and she went to train with him because she knew him before from Sky Blue, of course, and yeah. So it's the first time it happened where he was just like inappropriate with her. She called me and she was crying and she was really upset about it, and I didn't know who he was at the time, but Aaron was my friend, and I was just tried to be there for her. I was very nervous for Aaron for all of it. Since knowing about it the first time, me and her were very very close, so I pretty much knew about most of the times that happened after that as well. Because she would keep me updated on it, and I would just try my best from usually at the first it was from a distance, so I was just over the phone. I was just trying to help her like work through it as much as I could. But she was, yeah, I don't know how she went through that. It's terrible. But then, yeah, it just kept going to Louisville. So I knew in that whole time it was happening, I personally didn't think it was going to stop in Louisville, and obviously it didn't. So in a weird way, I'm kind of glad I got picked up by Christy Holly so that I could be there for her. Um, like I know it sounds really bad, but I'm just glad I could, I knew what was going on, so she had someone to confide in the whole time, even though it was super hard, and she was very courageous through it all. I was just there to support her as best as I could. It was like I don't know, like mentally abusive in itself. I think just the situation I was in as well. Like I just felt so helpless, and like obviously I cared about her a lot. She's my best friend, and I knew what was happening the whole time, and I literally couldn't do anything. I didn't know who to talk to. They were all friends, like all the coaching staff and stuff, so I couldn't really speak up to anyone. Um, and so I like the article said, I was just, as Christy Holly put it, trying to be a cock block, and just trying to do as best I could to help protect her in any way I could, even though I didn't have a voice. He had been basically like downplaying my character, like dampening it, like I don't know, falsifying my character and saying that I was just attention seeking, and just like basically saying I wasn't truthful, I was a liar. So he was trying to make my word not matter. So I didn't have a voice either. So it was just, yeah, it was horrible being in that spot, knowing what was happening, caring about my friend, and also not being able to do anything because he had effectively like shut my voice down as well with everyone. And yeah, and I wasn't playing. I wasn't even traveling most of the time. So I just was this, I don't know, I wasn't really looked after too much on the team anyway. So I was just, honestly, I was just there to support Aaron at about halfway through the season. So it was torture in itself. I think the report did a really good job of kind of sharing the main points of the story. Essentially, it was just a lot of what they said in many different instances over like 3 or 4 years, whatever it was. And yeah, I honestly, I do think most of it was shared in regards to the Aaron situation. It's just, yeah, especially with the video analysis, the fact that we had to like rehearse it and really try to like figure out how she could get out of it or how she could avoid it, and then knowing full well that I had to just wait for it to be done, knowing what was happening. I can't even explain to you how much that killed me inside, knowing I didn't do enough for my friend, and I couldn't do enough for my friend. So yeah, just having to sit back and watch and then pick her up and try to be like a friend I could be. Yeah, like I said, the report is really accurate in that aspect, as well as you never knew what you're going to get from him day to day, even moment to moment. he could be laughing, having a good time with you, and then next thing you know, just flip a switch and yelling, calling people out, like just making examples of people, blaming certain people for certain aspects of a game, and it's just it's not a healthy environment to feel like you can be successful in. Yeah, like he would try to get close to you, be all buddy buddy, and then the next thing you know, you're riding the bench and you ask him why, and he's just not responsive or just does he just yeah, you never knew what you're gonna get from him. I was the player that asked for an MRI, for example, in that report. For my ankle, I just had like an injury before, and I just wanted to make sure I was rehabbing it correctly. And so I didn't even ask him, I asked the trainer for one. And he just, yeah, got in my face, told me he couldn't trust that I was going to play well. So he wasn't sure if he was going to start me or not, all this stuff. And I just, from that point, I feel like I couldn't even ask him. I couldn't ask about my injuries. I couldn't try to get treatment. He just had such a power trip. He controlled all the medical stuff by the end, him and the other coaches. And it was insane the amount of control he had over people, what they could and couldn't do, and just how he made you feel guilty and shameful for even asking for certain things. And it was insane. I wasn't a part of that group that went, but I remember them going and just trying to voice concerns from the team as far as so many different things. And I remember the meeting not going anywhere, and just, yeah, there wasn't really much support because, I mean, like I said, Christy and the staff were friends. So it wasn't like we were going to get pretty anywhere with it. Because they were just like, no, he's doing his job. He's doing this. And they didn't really get anywhere. And we were never going to until this whole incident came out. I think he was pretty set in his powerful ways. From what I gathered, I know there was more than just the three of them that had concerns, and it just was a smaller group that went to try to address them. To be honest, no, because when we had seen like the players, for example, going to the front office staff and nothing happening, and we saw that like I said before, I didn't have a voice. I didn't even know who to talk to if I wanted to. So yeah, we had spoken to the chaplain, and she was there to support us as well. But she was really the only one that we saw like fit to talk to, because we didn't know who was going to get back to, how they were going to respond. Like we just didn't know like what was going to happen to us if we said something, because they can waive you at any moment in the NWSL. So like we didn't know if we spoke up, they would just be like, all right, see ya, and like we're done, and nothing ever gets done. So it's so hard to know who to trust and who to talk to at that club. I think, obviously at the time, yeah, Erin didn't want her name to be mentioned, which is completely understandable, and I respected that 100%, and I backed her up. I do think the club could have done better and had a greater responsibility to protect the public, as far as like he was sexually abusing her. Like you can't just let someone walk freely after that. Like you can't just be like, cover it up for them. Like I get you're trying to protect Erin, but you can say what he's done without who he did it to. And he was able to walk away free with nothing happening. And then there's so much speculation around the league of like, oh, he didn't do much, this, the players just got him fired, blah, blah, blah. Like so many lies and rumors that were spread when the truth should have been what was first and foremost. Because you got to protect other kids. Like who knows if he went back and started coaching, like, I don't know. I think you got to do a better job of protecting people in general. And if something that horrific happens, you gotta inform the public, in my opinion, because how easily he got off at that moment is not okay with me. I think it's actually been incredible, the amount of support that this whole report has like brought out. And I just really hope some actions start to come of it, so that it doesn't continue to happen and doesn't have to happen to anyone else. Because what I've seen a lot of the girls go through, and along with Erin, not even just Erin, but a lot of the girls at Louisville and other places, it's not okay. And like we shouldn't have to feel like this or feel like it's our fault or anything like that. It just needs to be better. And I just hope that this report brings action and not just talk.